Hi, Rob.
Hi.
There's a few things I want to go over before we begin, okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so I will be recording this.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you say will be held confidential unless you tell me anything about you harming yourself or others, child or elder abuse, I am court subpoenaed, or you give me permission to disclose.
Okay.
Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, well, let's begin. Hi, Rob. What's been going on?
Well, my wife is kind of pushing me to branch out and go into counseling and such, and she thought that it might be good for me to see a counselor. I don't think there's any problem, but yeah, she just wants me to come see a counselor, so I'm doing this for her, so as a favor.
Okay, so you're doing this as a favor for your wife.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't do something like this on my own. I mean, I wouldn't go seek help on my own. I really don't think that anything's wrong in our marriage and our relationship, but she seems to think that like we just aren't clicking anymore. She doesn't seem very interested in sex very much, but I mean, but I'm happy with our relationship otherwise. I mean, it's pretty much great. I mean, it's been good for what's that, 15 years now, I think. Yeah.
15 years. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so your wife is the reason why you're here today. She's saying that you might be having some issues in your relationship, but you think everything's going great. The sex is good, and everything else. So what else has been going? What you've said been going great in your relationship? Can you describe a little more for me?
Yeah. It's been going great. Well, I mean, we have a son, Benjamin, and he's 12 years old.
Okay.
And we're doing a pretty good job raising him. He's enjoying the summer. I mean, he's off, so he's having fun at camp. That's going well, and we're able to provide enough, save up enough money to send him to camp again, which he loved it. So that's great. My wife is working, and she's doing a really good job working. It's really nice to have 2 paychecks to come in. So that's great to have that. We don't get a lot of personal time because we're both working so much, but and she stays late a lot too. But yeah, it's pretty good overall. I mean, we have a good relationship. We go to church every Sunday. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay. And you don't have a lot of personal time, but you still make time for each other?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we talk on occasion. It's mostly early in the morning before she leaves to work, and whenever I get home from work, if she's there and she's not asleep or gone somewhere or something, still working. Sometimes she works real late, but yeah, we'll have a conversation then. But it's just it's difficult. We have to have a babysitter and everything for our son, and so it makes things a little more difficult. But we find some time to talk on occasion.
You mentioned a couple times that she stays late at work a lot.
Yeah. She says she stays late because she has like some extra stuff to do. She has like a lot of workload, and she works kind of slowly, from what I understand. And she likes to be a perfectionist, so she draws everything out, and it takes a long time, and goes late into the evening sometimes. But I mean, it's kind of what you need to get along, and it's what she needs in her job. She has a few friends at work too, but yeah, she stays late because of that, and it helps with getting overtime too.
Definitely. Money can be a big issue in a relationship.
Yeah, it used to be some years ago, but she decided to take on a second job, and it's been helping out a lot so far.
So she has 2 jobs.
No. A while ago, whenever she wasn't working, she then took up a job. I'm sorry, I meant my job. I had a job, and she had a job. Now we both have jobs.
Okay, so you're both working.
Yeah, she wasn't before. She was just raising Benjamin and staying home and being a housewife, basically, while I was working. And now she works too, because we kind of just need the money now. Okay. But it helps a lot.
It must have been a big change going from being the only breadwinner in the family and your wife being the housewife to both of you going to work.
Yeah, it was pretty stressful on her to start with. I mean, it was mostly stressful on her. I had to pick up some slack, and we kind of worked things out, made like kind of a balance of house chores and such to do. But I think she's adapted pretty well now. Because she knows enough to be able to stay after for work if need be. So she knows enough to be able to do that, and she's not negligent with her work. She's really good at it. So yeah.
You sound very proud of her.
Yeah, I am. I'm glad that she was able to notice that we were in our financial state. I mean, we have an open discussion about our financial state, and she noticed that we could be making more and we wouldn't be so stressed out overall if we just had a little bit more money. And so she decided that she would take it upon herself. She said her son's old enough now, and he can just have a babysitter. And it'll be fine while we're both working. And that was her idea, and I didn't suggest it at all, but when she suggested it, I mean, I thought it was a good idea, so I encouraged her.
Great. Okay, so yeah, you've been a couple whirlwind years. You changed from having a stay-at-home wife and one job to both of you working. Your son's getting older. But now you have a babysitter. Everything, but and you're recently starting therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's real different.
Yeah, I sense some hesitation in that in the beginning. That you don't feel a need for therapy, but your wife seems to want you to go here.
Yeah. She thinks that. Well, we have sex on a somewhat regular basis, but maybe once a week or so. But I kind of want to explore a little more and maybe try new things with her. And she doesn't seem like she's very interested in exploring anything new. I mean, it's nice. Like the sex that we have, it's okay. It's nice, but it's not really what I want, and I don't really think it's what she wants either.
Okay, so you both are unhappy with how your sex life is going right now, you said?
Yeah. Mostly, I mean, I let her know that I would like to explore, and it's not very comfortable for me to tell my wife, hey, let's try new things, let's branch out and do new things, because she's kind of a reserved person. She talks about sexual things, but even talking about it, sometimes she'll blush. Depends on who she's with, but whenever I suggest it, usually like I let her know that I'm not 100% happy with our sex life. I'm like 98% pretty happy, but
that's pretty high.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good, but I think it's kind of missing something. It could go a little better. It could be a little better for both of us. But she seems to convey that she's not as interested anymore. She kind of sometimes whenever I ask, I was like, hey, let's have sex now. Whenever I think it's an opportune time, she'll think of something that she forgot and go to work or something like that. So it's I see some avoidance and maybe some hesitation from her.
How often does that happen?
Maybe 2 times a week or so.
Okay, but you still seem to have sex once a week regularly?
Yeah, most weeks. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some weeks where you don't, and some weeks where you have more, but it's generally we tried to. It sounds kind of weird. We kind of tried to plan it out some ahead of time because we both knew that her sex drive is very low and mine, I think for a male is probably average, but compared to hers, mine's very high. So considering that, it's we knew that would be an issue early on in our marriage, and so we had an open conversation about it where we were like, okay, so let's get this elephant out of the room and let's talk about how we want to kind of balance both of our desires and needs, and we kind of decided on generally once every week or 2.
Okay, so you had an open conversation about it, and you decided what worked best for both of you. Kind of like a compromise?
Yeah, we compromised because I didn't really have a number per se. It was kind of, it feels weird to say to my wife, hey, I have a specific number of times a week that I want to have sex. It sounds really weird. So I never said that. But I would prefer maybe a little bit more often than we are right now. But I understood that, again, her sex drive is much lower than mine is. We talked about that too. So we came up with a number just kind of randomly, like, okay, once every week or 2. And so that way it kind of fits with both of us, where I don't feel like I'm pushing her more than I already am, more than I already feel like it, but I'm not pushing her too much and making her kind of resentful of me, because I definitely don't want that. But it's also where she's still willing to have a pleasurable time with me, and at least I get enjoyment. I think she gets enjoyment on occasion, but she doesn't ever initiate, so it's kind of difficult to gauge.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned that your wife seems a little avoidant and hesitant of having smooth sexual times.
Yeah, sometimes.
How can you tell that from her?
Well, if it's during the day and it's during a day that we don't normally have work, Sometimes whenever I suggest it to her, she'll just kind of like either walk off or just kind of like shake her head no real quickly and walk off, or just look very tired and say, "Can we please not now?" And I'm not going to push, so of course. So I say, "Okay, we won't." It doesn't mean I like it, but I acknowledge her own privacy and such. But if it's like earlier in the morning or later at night, especially whenever we're in bed, and I like try to suggest it either through like talking with her or touching her, she just kind of like scoots over and she just kind of scoots over and like physically distances herself, but she doesn't always say anything. So that's why I say avoid, and it's not like she tells me no. She just kind of moves away, and that's a pretty clear sign to me. She's not interested at the moment.
And so whenever you offer or sex and your wife seems a little avoidant of you, you feel okay with that, and you just say maybe another time?
Yeah, it's because we worked out that kind of agreement, because we did earlier on, probably within probably the last 6 months of our first year being married. That would be the second 6 month period. Around that time, there was a time where I was starting to focus more on work, and she was focusing on some of her hobbies, and as well as like the majority of the housekeeping. And it got to the point where, because we hadn't at the time set aside and said, "Hey, let's figure this out sexually," like what we're going to do, it ended up being where we would have sex like a few times a week, and then there'd be a month or two where we wouldn't have sex at all. So that was kind of, she didn't feel like that was healthy, and I didn't think it was either, and neither of us were very comfortable with it. So we decided, okay, we need to set something down, make a compromise. That way, we're not both feeling, me feeling kind of rejected, and her feeling overburdened. So we didn't want that to happen. So after around the second 6 month period, we kind of set aside time and figured it out.
Sounds like you guys put a lot of effort into this and consideration on how the other person feels.
Yeah, we're Baptists, and so respect for each other, especially within a marital relationship, it's kind of the whole point of being married. That's like the tenet upon it. If you don't respect each other, then there's nothing else you're going to do that's helpful. You have to respect the other person before you can have a good relationship with them. And we, of course, don't, as Baptists, we think that it's healthy for people to have sex in marriage, but it doesn't mean like, you have to have sex every other day or something. It's kind of left up to us. So we find what works best for us as a compromise, based on what we have.
How does being Baptist play in your relationship?
And it's kind of the foundation. We knew each other in college. So we're kind of college sweethearts. But we met at a small private Baptist college, and so that was kind of like one of the bases of our relationship. It was that, as well as we both liked cooking. So we both love cooking, and I prefer to eat, but we both like cooking. But those are both kind of like the commonalities that we found early on with each other, and things that helped to kind of endear us to each other. So we had a common religious basis, so it made sense. Not only would that not be an issue because we had the same religious basis, but we also thought it'd be enriching, it'd be helpful for us as a couple. So it's kind of like the foundation of it. But then being Baptist also helps because we have a very strong commitment to the relationship, more than most people do when it comes to marriage. Divorce rates are high, and so within Christianity, especially within being a Baptist, we don't see divorce really as an option.
Really?
And it's only reserved for extreme cases. Like when the other partner just leaves, deserts, or does something terrible. That's like really the only grounds that we would ever divorce. And we talked about that early on, how we don't ever want to be divorced. My parents went through divorce, and so I saw that growing up, and I did not want that for either of us or for Benjamin.
Okay, so you saw your parents getting divorced, and you saw how that affected them and you, and it seems like it affected you in a negative way.
Oh yeah, well, it affected me in a negative way because it hurt my relationship with both parents. These two people who I could trust as working as one unit together, now split, and now my loyalty was taken by two different people who were against each other. And I felt like I was used as a weapon against the other person. So it affected me negatively in that way. And I grew up with half a mother and half a father. No, not fully either one. But I think that was negative then, but now that I'm an adult and I'm grown up and I've gotten over that whole issue, I use it as a positive thing, that though it was bad and terrible for me in the time and made me have a lot of trust issues with people, it helped me to solidify my desire to never put a child through that. So
it's very hard to turn something that has been a negative into a positive.
Yeah.
Very strong of you.
Yeah, thank you. It's kind of it's a thought that comes in my mind on occasion. I was like, if we get divorced, but wait, we're not going to. And it's kind of a matter of really strong commitment. And so it helps that not only that I love her and I'm committed to my wife, to Jackie, but also that that we have a background which is against divorce, as well as I've seen the negative effects of it. So those can help.
It seems you're also thinking about it in Benjamin, your son's perspective too, of how a divorce might affect him.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, because I would be the same situation. It would be a single kid, just like I was. I didn't have any brothers and sisters, so it was my mom and my dad and I. And whenever they split, then I had, like I said, half a mom, half a dad that both hated each other, and there was just me split between the two of them. And I didn't have someone to really stay with me and to be around me in the process of it. And Benjamin doesn't have any other siblings. We don't have any other children, so it'd just be him, and he has some friends, but I still think it would affect him pretty negatively, and I don't want to put him through that.
You seem very passionate when you talk about your childhood of having your parents split up and how it affected you.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like the defining point of my childhood, but it really changed. Like, I think it changed like the trajectory of where I was going in my life.
Sure.
So
it's a big impact on you, especially on a kid.
Yeah, I was only, I think, 5 years old.
Yeah, that's pretty young.
Yeah, I was pretty young, so I didn't have much of I didn't have many friends. It's not good friends. It was like kids I knew in pre-K, but
yeah,
it was difficult.
You can't really call up a friend at 5.
No, I didn't have a phone to call them. Couldn't call them at all.
Yeah, okay, so your childhood has played a big role in your current and your adult life, and especially in your marriage.
Yeah. I would say it's helped to inform our marriage kind of through a negative means. It's kind of like learning what not to do.
Okay.
And that's what I found from my parents. So I learned from their mistakes, and I don't want to relive their mistakes. So that's why we talked early on. Jackie and I do not want to get divorced no matter what.
Okay, so you guys have both decided that divorce or separation are a non-entity.
Yeah, I mean, separation it's not the same thing as divorce. I mean, separation, that would be like the precedent before divorce, but
it often is.
Yeah, we don't want separation, but that's not as definite and totally ending as divorce. We don't want either of them, but divorce is like an absolute never reach, and a temporary separation might be like if things get really bad, we might temporarily give each other some space if our relationship's really bad, but it's not yet. I mean, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah. So definitely your childhood and your religious backing have played a big part in your relationship with Jackie and what it is today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely has.
Okay. So let's see. What other things have been going on in your relationship with Jackie outside of your sex life?
Not a whole lot. We don't have a whole lot of free time with each other, like I was saying before. We make time for each other on the weekends more so than during the week. During the week, we don't really see each other too much. At least not while both parties are awake, because we're working so much. But our life's pretty good. We recently started taking yoga classes on Saturday nights at a local yoga place. So we did that. We tried. It was her idea. It's kind of like a somewhat of a bonding experience because she wanted to. It seems like where I want to experiment and have try new things in our sexual life, she wants to experiment, try new things in our romantic and emotional life. So she's kind of focused on that part. So it was her idea, and I was like, well, I guess I'll do it for you. I don't really care, but she wanted to do it, so I went ahead and did it. So we started that, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so it's still new.
Yeah, very new. very weird, and I'm not yet flexible. So.
Have you seen any impacts that the yoga has made on your relationship, either romantically or sexually, or yeah?
Not really. No, she seems to be still kind of slowly distancing. She's happy when we're leaving to go to yoga class, during the yoga class, and afterwards. She's happy for like pretty much all the rest of the night. She's just kind of emotionally happy and excited. But then it goes back to the next day on Sunday. It's not there anymore. It's as if the yoga night didn't ever happen.
And so it's kind of like this is the week, and then yoga Saturday, and
just like that. Yeah, it's like a really bad heartbeat.
Oh, I hope that's not anyone's heartbeat.
I hope so too.
Okay. All right. So on an ideal work day, what would it look like to you? Or like a work day, like how like waking up, how would you interact with your wife, with your child? How would that go?
Well, a normal work day, anywhere from Monday through Friday, that would be usually she wakes up before I do. So by the time her alarm kind of wakes me up. It disturbs me more than it fully wakes me up because I can go back to sleep afterwards. So I have that first tiny little alarm, which is hers. She gets up and says bye and gives me a kiss and leaves for work, and I'm barely conscious and kind of like, whoa, what? And she's gone. So I don't really have much conversation with her to start with in the morning. And with my son, I get him normally ready for school and such. I mean, we don't have to do that anymore since it's the summer.
Summer.
Yeah. So, but we don't have to do that part anymore. But normally it would be getting him ready for school and making sure he has a lunch packed and such. So then I'll be going to work and working my normal time period, and then I don't think I wouldn't see them until probably around 3 or 4 p.m. And then I'd be seeing Benjamin first. And she doesn't normally get off until later. She works long days when she works. But she gets a lot of overtime. So when she does work. But I would see her anywhere from, say, 6 p.m. to maybe 8 p.m. Sometimes she'll stay much later. Sometimes like around 11 p.m. at night. Come back terribly groggy. We don't normally talk on those nights because I don't want to disturb her and poke the bear kind of thing.
It's very considerate of you.
Yeah, she's very exhausted, and I don't want to make anything worse other than by saying hi and I love you, and I make sure to keep a safe distance and all the good things, self-preservation.
Sounds like a long work day. It's understandable that she'd be exhausted.
Yeah, and I understand it, especially I know that she's helping us out a lot as a family, so I try to make sure she has her space and make sure that I'm not too pushy on anything, and I don't ask her, especially on those nights, I don't mention the S word, sex, at all, because I know that would, again, poke the sleeping bear. But yeah, we kind of just respect her, and Benjamin does too. Benjamin will say, hi, Mom, and kind of give her a quick hug and then walk away if she seems like she's a little grumpy so that he doesn't make it any worse. So we try to work around it.
Okay, so it's very kind of give and take over.
Yeah, it's give and take. If she gets home like around 6, like when kind of a normal work time, then she usually helps out by making supper too, or just entirely making supper on her own, which is nice. It's very nice whenever she can do that for us. But yeah, that's how it usually goes. Is if she gets home earlier, she'll help me with making dinner or make it herself, and we'll have some talk, maybe some conversation and such. And then she's either off to read. And she loves reading, so she's either off to read for maybe a few hours on her own in the study, or she's going back to work because she forgot something. So.
Okay, so an ideal day for you would be getting up, your wife getting up in the morning, kissing you before going to work, you getting your son Benjamin ready, then you go for school, then you going to work as well, and then you see Benjamin around 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then your wife coming home at 6, which is one of the earlier times she would come home and interacting with you and Benjamin and working with you for dinner, you guys talking and maybe having sex that night?
Yeah, those are rare nights, but when it does happen, it's very nice, yeah.
Okay, so that's the ideal night.
Yeah, I'd say that's the ideal night, yeah.
And it sounds like that even happens sometimes.
Yeah, it's not often. I usually try to take advantage of when she's not only getting home early and she's acting like she wants to help out too, but also when I think she's in a good mood, I try to take advantage of those times and say, hey, remember? Yeah, I want to have sex. So don't do it like that. That's goofy, but but
Some people like goofy.
yeah, no, I don't do that. But yeah, I try to take advantage of those times and say, hey, would you be willing to? I don't ever really ask her anymore if she wants sex because I already know the answer to that. So it's most times, which is no. So that's why I say, are you willing to?
Oh, okay, that's a big difference. Then, do you want to have sex? To are you willing to have sex?
Yeah, I've learned that if I base it on whether or not she wants to, I don't think I'll get sex for a year. So
Okay.
so that's we have that understanding where we don't ask want, we ask, are you willing to? Or sometimes she'll ask me when she's feeling willing and I haven't asked, she'll say, do you want to? Because she knows that I usually want to. So
Okay, so you got it's a different question towards each other, really.
yeah, exactly. Because she assumes that I want sex all the time. I don't, but I do much more often than she does. So she kind of makes the safe assumption that if I'm home and I'm not in the middle of doing something, that I want sex, and most of the time it's true, but not all the time. But yeah, so she'll ask me if I want to, and the cool thing for her, of course, and she has told me she appreciates it, is when she's willing to, and she feels like she's obligated to, and she asks me if I want sex. If I don't want it, I'll let her know, and she's kind of happy and kind of in her mind says, thank you, and walks off.
Okay, so
So.
so when she does ask, your wife Jackie does ask for sex, and you say you're not interested, that's a sense of relief for her.
Well, it's not. She doesn't ever ask for sex. I mean, she hasn't in probably over a year. When it comes to her actually wanting, it's more like she'll ask me, "Hey, I'm willing to. I don't really want to, but I'm willing to. Do you want to? Because now is an opportune time during the week." And if I say no, that I'm not willing to, like, I know that I don't want to, then again that kind of lets her off because usually she doesn't even want sex anyway. So it's just kind of like where she's trying to look out for me, and whenever I told her I don't have the need, then she's like, okay, and it's nice for her. So.
Okay, so for her, it sounds like it's a little bit of a job for her.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I guess you could say it is because she might see it as that too. But yeah, she doesn't. She has like very low sex drive, like I was saying when we talked about that. But because of that, she doesn't really want to have sex much. But she's willing to because she knows that I want to. So it's kind of like we try to look out for each other in that way. So trying to find a balance, like I was saying.
That seems like you guys are very good at that compromise then.
Yeah, it's always a up in the air thing, depending on what happened in the week. If it was a very stressful week, neither of us really want sex, so we won't for a week or two, but it's generally about once a week.
Even you coming to therapy now was kind of a compromise.
Yes, yeah, it was. It's because I know that she has been helping us out so much around the house, with bringing in another paycheck, and it helps so much with all the different costs and such and bills. And so, as a thank you to her, when she suggested it, I told her I don't want to, but I will.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here.
All right. So in essence, you being here right now is, hey, thanks for the extra money.
Yeah.
That was maybe more layman's term, but yeah.
Well, yeah. That's. I didn't say it that way, but I definitely was thinking it that way. Yeah. I was saying thanks for taking it upon yourself to put yourself through more stress by going to work instead, and not only to pick up some of the slack around the house, but I mean because she's been helping out so much, I wanted to help her if she asked me to do something too. So.
Okay. How does Jackie feel about therapy for herself? Has she brought that up?
I think she said that she was also wanting to go to therapy too. She said that there was a book that she read that this person said that it's probably best for a married couple if one person doesn't see an issue in the relationship, but the other person does, that they go individually to therapy, and then once they both recognize that there's a problem, and the other person who notices that it's the problem has gotten some stuff off their chest, then they can both agree to seek marital counseling, marriage therapy and such. So that's her goal, I think. I don't know how many sessions it'll take, but that's what she wants.
So you guys came in here with an end goal of like a marriage counseling.
Yeah, because we're thinking that it'll probably be best. I mean, the idea of counseling is to help us, as individuals. So if we're able to be helped as individuals, then it will even better our chances in marriage therapy, where the goal is to help whole marriage as a whole. So.
Counseling can be a great tool in helping with people with their individual selves or their couple selves.
Yeah, she really believes that. And I mean, I believe in what you're doing. I believe in counseling and therapy and such, but I don't think I really have much of an issue at this point.
Okay.
So it's not. I don't think it's necessary for me at this point, but she thinks it could be. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it for you.
Okay, so we went over a lot of stuff today. We went over your history with your wife, how you guys met at your small Baptist school, your love for cooking and religion. How you've been together for 15 years.
Yeah.
Your son Benjamin. We went over your usual work day for you guys and a usual weekend day for you, involving yoga, and your work day involving Benjamin picking him up, and your wife coming home, which can vary from 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Okay, we went over the sex discrepancies that you and your wife have. How your sex drive tends to be a little higher than hers.
I would say quite a bit higher.
Quite a bit higher. Hey, and we went over a lot about how you guys seem to compromise with each other to find some middle ground that will work with both of you.
Yeah, that's one thing we tried to do much earlier on the relationship, but it's worked for us so far, I think.
Okay. And that how therapy itself is a compromise you guys have been working right now on together.
Yeah.
And that you had there's an end goal of getting that marriage counseling together.
Yeah, again, I'm doing all that for her because she wants it. I think it might help us, but I don't really know how it would help us, so I'm kind of just going along with it.
Okay. Well, I think I might have some homework for you then. I want you to think of some ideas if you guys were to be in marriage therapy, what you would like to bring up at a session.
Okay. I might be able to do that.
Great. Okay, then I will see you next week then.
Thank you.
Bye, Rob.
Bye.